That's my Bahama land, yeah. Friends in every place, a smile on every face. Children at play, time with family today. Someone fill my plate, homemade bread, I can't wait. I can't get enough, I will always stay in touch with my Bahama land, yeah.
Rare Voice introduces Bahamaland, an unlimited nationwide calling plan for only $5 a month. So call home today and connect again with Bahamaland. Home never felt so close.
My Bahama land, yeah.
Debate over who is or isn't worthy to lead the country continues. A mother speaks out on the tragic circumstances surrounding the death of her 14-year-old son. An 18-year-old charged with 2 murders after reportedly being on the run for 9 months. The Bahamas on high alert for a viral disease spread by some mosquitoes, and how the Bahamas may be losing out on disaster relief aid. We have those stories and more coming up tonight. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and your MB12 starts right now. Joining us. We're nowhere near election season, but leaders of the political parties have already begun trading insults. Leader of the Democratic National Alliance, Branville McCartney, today fired back at Prime Minister Perry Christie, who suggested he is not worthy to lead this country. It comes 2 months after Christie asserted that Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis disqualified himself from ever becoming Prime Minister. Vonique Toot reports.
After traveling to the U.S. on business, DNA leader Branville McCartney returned to the country this morning to be greeted by this NASA Guardian headline. He wasted no time responding to Prime Minister Christie's assertion that he is not a worthy replacement. Well, McCartney says he doesn't have to replace Christie because the Bahamian people will.
Mr. Christie indicated that I cannot fill his shoes, something to that effect. I don't want to fill his shoes. We're trying to get out of his shoes.
The political gloves came off last week when McCartney suggested in a statement it would be a sad state of affairs if Christie or former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham decided to lead their respective political parties into the next general election. Well, those comments didn't sit well with the Prime Minister, who told the Nassau Guardian,
"You know, the Hubert Ingraham, Perry Christie saga, I mean, Branville McCartney's in the newspapers today writing about it. And it's sad that he has to bring himself to diminishing all that we were and are in terms of our own careers, however difficult it might be to accept any one of us or the other of us."
But Christie didn't stop there, suggesting that the DNA leader might not be worthy of the title Prime Minister.
But the fact of the matter is that we are persons who have been around a long time, and who I think each of us believe that we've made a significant contribution to good order in the country. And to see in the way he so flippantly dismisses us tells me really that it is difficult for me to see him as worthy of being a replacement to me.
It's not the first time Christie has questioned his opponent's ability to lead the country. Remember these comments he made about F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis back in December?
The only thing that amuses me in this whole exercise is the leader of the opposition. Right? He amuses me. And in terms of his lack of understanding of how prime ministers act and think. And for him to say what he says and how he says it seems to disqualify him significantly from ever holding this office. But he'll have to see for himself.
McCartney called Christie's political jabs sad. However, the DNA leader says what's even more remarkable is Christie's suggestion that if Ingraham returns to frontline politics, he just might run again.
People of this country are suffering, and you're going to talk about what is good for me? If my good buddy comes back, well, I'm going to run again? What a shame. I cry shame.
McCartney warned the Prime Minister not to underestimate the DNA, insisting the party launched its election campaign 2 weeks ago and currently has 20,000 paying members. In fact, McCartney says if the Democratic National Alliance doesn't win the next general election, it will determine which political party does.
We determine who will win the next election. Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. We got 13,186 votes within 11 months of being formed. We made political history. You can just imagine what we're going to do in the next 3 years. We're coming to give this country back to the Bahamian people. The DNA is coming.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, a grieving family suffered a double blow this weekend after a 20-year-old man was taken into custody in connection with the stabbing death of his 13-year-old cousin. Surrounded by family, Kessa Bain recalled the horrifying incident which unfolded on her front porch Saturday evening. She says she and her 4 children were at their Golden Sun Drive home off Sunset Park when her son, Gilbert Bain Jr., ran inside and told her he had been stabbed in his left side.
I was inside watching the news, and he ran inside to me and tell me what happened. Well, when he came in first, he wasn't bleeding until he moved his hand, and that's when he was bleeding, and then he collapsed.
Police were called in, and Gilbert, who was a student at SC McPherson High School, was rushed to hospital by EMS personnel. However, he succumbed to his injuries on Sunday. Gilbert says she will forever be haunted by her son's last words.
He was like, "Mommy, I can't breathe. I'm gonna die. I can't breathe." And I told him he's not gonna die, breathe, because he's asthmatic.
Though the cousin was taken into custody, Bain says she believes her son's death was an accident. She says the past 2 days have been rough for her family.
It was hard. It was hard. Because it was me losing a son and a nephew. The only thing I could do now is ask for God guidance, that he would see me through with this, because it's not an easy pills, like I say, to swallow. It's nephew and cousin. Son.
An 18-year-old man who reportedly escaped police custody by fleeing to the United States was today charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of armed robbery. Police issued a bulletin for Leo Bethel of Balls Avenue last May, seeking to question him in connection to the armed robbery and murder of American sailor Kyle Bruner on May 12, 2013. Bethel, who was also wanted for questioning in connection with the murder of Terrell Knowles in Balls Alley on April 5, 2013, was today arraigned before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. Police say Bethel was apprehended in Miami, Florida, February 10th and deported to the Bahamas on the 11th after evading police for 9 months. According to initial police reports, Bruner, a 34-year-old visitor from Chicago, Illinois, was shot during an armed robbery near the intersection of Mackey Street and East Bay Street. 4 men were charged with his murder back in May, but Bethel was still at large. Bethel was further charged with the armed robbery of Jane Robinson and Haley Sayer, who were robbed at the same time of the murder. Police say Bethel robbed them of more than $4,000 worth of personal items. Bethel was also charged with the murder of Terrell Knowles on April 5th. Today, Bethel listened carefully as the charges were read. He was not required to enter a plea to the charges and was not eligible for bail. He was represented by attorney Glendon Roll, who told the court that his client was tortured while in custody at the Central Detective Unit. Roll says his client was hit in the face and about the lower body by interviewing officers, one of whom Roll identified as a Sergeant Johnson, who was in court today. In addition, Roll says his client was forced into an identification parade. Ferguson Pratt made note of the claims and said Bethel should be seen by a physician. Bethel has been remanded to Her Majesty's prison and will return to court on May 14th for service of a voluntary bill of indictment. Well, with the U.S.-based Center for Disease Control expanding their travel health warning in light of the recent spread of chikungunya or CHIKV to 5 Caribbean islands last week, Ministry of Health officials say the Bahamas is on high alert for the viral disease. Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Bran says while there have been no reported cases in the Bahamas thus far, officials aren't willing to chance an occurrence similar to the 2011 dengue fever outbreak. Jasmine Bonamy has more in this report.
According to Bran, the ministry has embarked on an aggressive campaign to lessen the chance of the disease reaching Bahamian shores, and that includes keeping an eye on the mosquito population as well as targeting their breeding grounds. CHIKV is a viral disease spread by mosquitoes that causes fever and debilitating joint pain. The symptoms of CHIKV can appear similar to those of dengue fever, although it is caused by a different virus. There have been confirmed cases on St. Martin, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Bart's, and the British Virgin Islands. These cases mark the first time that locally acquired transmission of CHIKV have been detected in the region. The Center for Disease Control in the United States has issued travel notices after the WHO reported the transmission on St. Martin back in December. Given its similarities to dengue fever and its rapid spread across the region, Bran said the Bahamas is on full alert.
Unlike the years of 2011, 2012, where we had a few thousand people that were affected, we definitely haven't seen those types of numbers at all. So we're on heightened alert, especially since both are continuing to travel to the Caribbean, but we haven't had any cases.
While healthcare providers continue to screen for the virus, there haven't been any cases reported in the Bahamas. Bran said the ministry has set up testing at clinics and the Princess Margaret Hospital to screen for both dengue and CHIKV.
For both things is we're screening more and more patients as well. So we have developed newer technologies when it comes to rapid testing for dengue that we employ in the public health sector, both at our clinics and at our hospitals. But in addition to that, we are also monitoring what our mosquito indexes are. So seeing how much of the mosquitoes we have around, either adult mosquitoes or larvae, in order to see what is the likelihood that if someone was to come in, that would be able to be transmitted. We're also monitoring what our mosquito indexes are, so seeing how much of the mosquitoes we have around, either adult mosquitoes or larvae, in order to see what is the likelihood that if someone was to come in, that would be able to be transmitted.
With flu season still in full swing, he admits there is a lot of testing being done.
And that requires a heightened amount of vigilance on behalf of our healthcare providers, because as long as people are coming in with fever, they come in with body aches, you do have to be aware and make sure that we're not misdiagnosing people with one thing versus the other. So we implore testing, and we have them available. Again, rapid testing, so you have point of care testing for influenza. We also have it for dengue. And then if we suspect something like chikungunya, like it's negative for both, and people are really having lots of joint pains, they're really debilitated, then we can send it off to our regional laboratory in order to test for that as well.
Dr. Bran adds that the rapid testing is also available in the Family Islands. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.